Welcome to another episode of Ore Insiders. Take a break from the grind. Hard hat off, tap into the signal. Each episode, we go deep with the top miners in Ore. How they think, why they hold, and how they win. Let's get into it.
Thank you. Yes, you might have seen if you're watching the live space. I'm Lothaean on the X, but I'm still Brian. So today we have RHBCrypto, who's coming on to the minemore chat to kind of talk about his experience in crypto. We always have good conversation. Everybody we've had on this show has had a really good story about how they got onto crypto, how they got involved, and then how they found Ore and how they use minemore to help them become more efficient miners. So without further ado, RHB, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, and we'll talk about all kinds of stuff today.
All right. So a bit about myself. My name is Raid, and basically I got into crypto around 2013, and I dabbled in it when I was in high school at the time, and I remember I was purchasing prepaid cards with no names so that I could download Trading 212 and Plus 500, which were the apps that I knew back then. And it was mostly just trading contracts and, let's say, derivatives of cryptocurrencies. So it was guesswork mostly. And you had like a 5-second chart and a 10-second chart, and you just say, oh, it's going up or down. And I remember,
Yes.
I remember then that was more gambling than it was anything with fundamentals. And then,
Everything's a gamble.
yes, and I was buying Bitcoin and selling it for like a $10 and $20 profit, and I thought I was making bank. At the time, I was 14 years old, and yeah, long time ago. And
Oh man.
I remember the first days that I got into it. I was in high school and I was in boarding school in Switzerland. And my first 2 weeks there or 3 weeks there, one of the kids that was with me had a Richard Mill, which was about 200K or 300K. And that made me feel like, okay, if he has it, I'm going to get it as well. And I'll just have to figure out how to make it. And one of the first things I did was I'm like, this trading stuff seems very interesting. And that sort of lit the fire of crypto and starting to see people making crazy amounts of money. And I'm like, oh, this seems interesting. And that I spent too much time ignoring school, ignoring my day-to-day homework and so on, just trying to find out more about what this stuff is, how it works, how it functions, how it actually is. And then I sort of had to make a decision to step back a bit and be like, okay, this is not great for me long term since I was still young and I had to focus on what I had at hand. And then after I just sort of put everything to the side, and then that stayed on the side for about 3 or 4 years. And then in 2018, I was in uni in London, and I heard a lot of people. Well, there was a bit of a large increase in price at the time, and a couple of friends were talking about it, and they were mentioning crypto, Bitcoin, and so on. I'm like, damn, I remember I had dabbled in this like a couple of years ago, and I saw a lot of people that had their Bitcoin from 3 or 4 years ago, and that they had multiples of X's. And I'm like, oh, let me maybe check if I can log onto my old accounts. And once I logged into the accounts, I then realized that I was just buying short-term contracts, nothing in spot. There was no spot on those platforms.
Oh no.
And and I was just seeing like it seems crazy to me that until today I still have the account history, and I can see that I was buying a Bitcoin for $12 and selling it for $22, and I'm like, oh, I'm making money. But either way, that was
Yeah.
the beginning, and then.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then that sort of got me thinking, like, okay, the Bitcoin had some legs on it, and crypto is now gaining traction. There's a lot more people getting into this market. So, what are the other things what's the next thing that's coming up? And I still remember SBF's tweet, sell me all the soul you have for $3 and fuck off.
Yeah,
And
that I wish $3.
that was before the rise to 250 and the higher 200. And I bought uh, a considerable amount at the time, and as it kept going up I was just selling in small portions and small portions, and I'm like, okay, this seems to be like what's the next big thing. And I always had uh, sort of an ick for ETH. I always thought like, okay, Sol is my game. Like quick transactions, no crazy gas fees, no over the top people. It became a cult. It wasn't really just a coin, and that's why I pushed more towards the whole Solana ecosystem and finding out more about it.
Yeah,
And then
and
I
I think
remember, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, Sol does seem to have the spirit of crypto in it now. It feels more cult-like than Ethereum has its own, its own ways, but they've been so topsy-turvy with their messaging in the last few years that, you almost like have to scratch your head. They went from being the Ethereum Foundation being this fair, just, moderator of the crypto space to now pivoting to Milady-esque what do they call it, cops, um, all this white paper. Excuse me, they just made everybody sign a document pledging their allegiance basically to the Ethereum Foundation. Such a big switch, and it's very Milady aligned, is what the discussion is. So, yeah, I think
The,
Solana's had a more
the,
straight and true path.
the other thing I would consider, that I would compare it to, is Hyperliquid. And it's as if the Hyperliquid vault decides today that they want to start selling OTC hype to anyone who wants to give them money, and that, or they decide to start selling when hype are doing the exact opposite. At the unlocks, all of the team decided, okay, we don't need to be getting this much money. Let's all slash down how many hype will be getting, and as soon as the hype is released, they all just go and they stake it. That, to me, if ETH was done like that today, it would be at a way higher price. But in fact, it's the other way around. And then I remember when the Saga dropped. When the Saga dropped, I put in my order, and if you guys remember, they sort of had a non-confirmed cutoff, and I waited for the phone for a week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks after people started getting their deliveries, and mine just never arrived. And I got an email one day from Solana, and I'm like, yes, finally I'm going to get my shipping information. And it's like, unfortunately, we weren't able to process your order, and we'll be refunding you. And I'm like, ah, shit. So what can I do? So I jumped on eBay, and I found the closest person to me that can get it to me as soon as possible, because they were already releasing the drops, and they were already airdropping a bunch of coins to a bunch of people. And I'm like, okay, what's the price? And the one trusted sort of seller that I found that was selling a Saga sold it to me for $3,800.
Oh gosh, that's pricey. I
Yeah,
I have inverse of that. I have an ETH phone, which isn't as cool, mind you, I don't have a Saga phone, but the ETH phone is called a DGen 1. And what ended up happening is they sold an NFT. Everybody bought the NFT. It went up in price. Everybody's speculating on what it would have. And then when crypto crashed, the price of the NFT went into the dirt. So I got my Ethereum phone for like $200 because I bought the NFT, I burned it, and I got my Ethereum phone. But its airdrops have been pathetic in relation to the Saga phone. So that's
Yeah.
just. I'm glad you got it.
And the thing is, the Saga phone, I missed some of the first the airdrops because I had waited for about 3 weeks before the phone actually got to my hands from the date that they started delivering to everyone. And some of the claims for the airdrops had already closed, and I'm like, okay, it's not an issue. At least let me make some use out of this phone. Let me get familiar with Android because I'm not very familiar with Android at all. I've been using Apple since way back when. So then one day I just came across Hard Hat's Twitter, or X now, and I don't even remember who it was that had mentioned him. But a close friend of mine is like, "Oh, this looks like an interesting protocol," and I'm like, let me dig into it a little bit." And he was just posting about the OR white paper, the V1 white paper. I'm like, okay, this seems interesting. And I was back home. I had a couple of months off, and I'm like, okay, let me dig into this a bit. Let me see how we can do it. And I had a strong MacBook, and back then it was GPU mining. And I went through the steps of how to get into the protocol and how to start mining. It was my first time using CLI on the laptop since I ever started using laptops. It was my first time downloading the Solana CLI, all of that, and having to troubleshoot a lot of coding things when I didn't have a background in coding. I have a software as a service company, but I have developers that work with me. So I don't do the dev stuff. I don't do the coding part of stuff. I do the entrepreneurship and the management side of things.
Nice.
So then,
Yes. CLI tools, man, those are tough.
yes, so the tools back then, getting into it, making sure I had like 100% uptime. It is a whole different world from what we have today. It has been completely oversimplified that anyone can come in today and start mining. In fact, I arrived today uh, back to Malta, and I was explaining to my girlfriend, I'm like, okay, so this is what ore is. This is what mining it is. This is what a motherlode is. This is how many people have Sol deployed. This is everyone's waiting for the motherlode to drop. And it became really something easy to explain and easy to get people into. And even mine more. Now you can do it through. You don't need to download the app through the App Store, the Solana App Store. You can you can access it through Phantom. You can access it through Solflare. You can access it through the web. You can access it through multiple ways. So it has made mining actually very easy. And I
Yeah,
remember,
and I want to touch
yes,
on the CLI part because before we go on to the next part of this, the command line interface tools that I never got to see them on the OR side of things. I was late to OR comparatively to some of you guys that are OGs. But if anybody, command line interface is not the way to broaden the reach of any product because normal people will see a command line, see PowerShell, and they'll freak out. And I'm not a developer. But I too had to use command line in, for example, when you generate your Ethereum staking keys, right? You had to open up a command line
mhm,
interface, and I thought to myself, man, this is awful. I'm literally putting 64 at the time. I had 64 ETH. I'm literally putting 64 ETH into this tool, hoping I did it right, and then sending it to a specific address and hoping that
mhm,
it sees it. And trust me, command line interface with that, and then the fact that you sent that much value over the net and it just doesn't refresh right away. It's kind of like a butt clenching 30 minutes, of refreshing the page, 15 minutes more like. But back then Ethereum was much slower. So command line tools, I'm glad OR doesn't need them today, because that would limit so many people from accessing this protocol. So it's always good to, start nerdy, I guess, but you got to end simplified. You got to end so that everybody can mine.
So in the beginning, the when it was first launched, or you could either use the CLI or there was the website. The website used to lag a lot. It used to have a lot of like little hiccups. It didn't. You could only mine with one account at a time. If you opened another tab and you wrote the website, you'd log out of the first account and it would create a new account. There was no exporting private key. It was very, very complex, and there was a lot of people that were too afraid to put anything into it. When you download the CLI, when you go through the CLI route, what we sort of found out was that with every different client you open, you can have basically a different miner running the same transaction. So you were pushing maybe at one point I was pushing maybe 100 transactions per 20 seconds, per 30 seconds. And if you remember, that was when there was the big Solana outage, because all of the transaction requests were coming in through mining ore. And that was what made
Man.
the first that was what made the first big shockwaves for ore. That everyone's like, what's causing the Solana outage? And Mert and Tolly are like, all these fucking ore miners, they need to really give us a rest. And then
Yeah, that's the problem.
I think if you get Hard Hat on one of the episodes, he'll be able to go into way more detail about it, because I remember he was panicking and he was like, "Guys, we really need to calm it down." And I'm like, "Nope, more
What did I
miners. We're
create?
pushing more. we're pushing more miners." I'm like, "If we need to do more, I'm gonna go get another laptop." And I had my old laptop. I opened it. Boom, another screen of 50 miners. I'm like, "Listen, I'm enjoying this." So if some other people aren't getting if you could, people weren't able to make transactions on Sol. Every transaction
Yep.
you'd have to retry 10 times because all of
Oh,
the block space was
I've
taken
been
up
there.
by ore miners.
That'd be great. I think if you're HHC, that's where you say, "Hey, totally, you want us to stop? How much money you got?" No, I'm joking. No, don't do that, HHC.
I'm
He's too good of a guy.
No, it wasn't even that. It was more of I believe it was Mert. Mert was like, listen, you need to submit something to Coliseum so that we can actually work together instead of working against each other. And then came ORV2, which took that down a notch. It didn't allow the multiple miners and it didn't rely on GPU. And now we have today, which is basically a lot easier, because I feel like the problem has been solved since Fire Dancer. And now it doesn't really or doesn't impact, even if we have a lot of transactions going in every minute, it doesn't impact the network the way that it used to. And I remember I was getting anywhere from 10 ore to 20 ore in an hour easily. And
Wow.
at that time, the cost per ore was maybe 0.02 sol. And the attention that it got sent it flying to $300, $400. And from nothing to 3 days later or 4 days later, I had maybe 50K worth of ore. And I'm like, okay, that's a reasonable amount. I could nuke the chart right now, but that wouldn't be very ethical. I'm enjoying this. I'm getting a lot of people into this. It's not worth it. And then before I knew it, we went from 300 to about $60 in one day. There was a huge drop. A lot of people panicked. A lot of people panic sold. And from there, I'm like, okay, what I have, I'm just gonna keep, and I'm gonna wait because this has a longer term vision. It's not a slow thing. So
Yeah, agree.
we waited, and here we are today. And
On the verge of the OR Foundation.
exactly, the OR Foundation is going to be very interesting. And not only that, I think that the minor influx has yet to begin.
Yes, I think so too, and that's one of the reason I'm. This is the only crypto I hold right now. I sold everything a few days before 10:10. Oh my God, thank you God for making me lose sleep over my crypto bag. But I held my OR. I've accumulated OR. I've staked OR, and I really don't see much else in the space that's interesting. And especially there's lots of interesting stuff, but there's stuff I don't want to support because you can't say it's fairly mined. You can't say it's VC free. And you can't say that anybody had, it's got a great chance of getting in everybody's wallet. I think, or is
Mhm.
that product, right? Regardless of the fact that, yeah, the price has been falling, there's a bear market. Most other cryptos have nuked to zero already. And there's crypto teams that are falling apart right now. They are falling apart because they don't have revenue, they don't have users, and or they've been hit by smart contracts. So there's a lot going on in crypto. And I think or having such a small attack surface as well is
Hello?
another key part of this.
You keep
Yes,
cutting,
sir. Can you hear us?
or is it just for
Oh,
me?
sorry. Yeah. Um,
Can
anyways, I feel like or is really the last interesting thing I found in crypto that I can fully get my support behind with my money, with my investment. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on the foundation, RHB? Test test. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Wondering if we lost RHB. Give him a moment here, and we'll see if we can get back on. But yeah, the foundation is imminent, right? And we've also seen some very interesting things being posted on the X for OR lately. Um, Honestly, the most exciting thing that I've seen posted was the reference that OR is built to be in many wallets and be built on many other front ends. Let me pull up the post right now and kind of read it to you guys. OR supply, I think it's one of the most recent. Yes, or just posted today, or is built to plug into existing wallets, apps, and front ends, or power new ones. Check out Smelted by Chrisaka Kelly, powered by Or. So we definitely have stuff brewing in the background that I don't think they're being fully privy to. Oh, RHB is back. These requests speaking, and because of that, I'm super bullish. Right, I'm really happy to hold this coin. See, get you back on the stage here if I can.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We're back.
All right, perfect. No,
If
I
you missed
was
anything, I was
uh,
just talking about the latest post from Or.
no, I was hearing you, but for some reason it cut off from my end. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so, yes, sir. Yeah, I can hear you. So I was asking you about the Or Foundation. What do you think about the Or Foundation? And were you present for the last minor side chat kind of roundtable discussion we had?
I was not present, but I went through the docs. I like, as you said, the fact that they want to get it into a lot of people's wallets, and I like the scarcity of ore. I like that there's always going to be only 3 million ore, and I like that there's ore being burned. There's ore that is lost. There's people that have mined a lot of ore early days and they lost their accounts, and that is still part of the equation. I liked HHC's clarity on the top holders and all of that list that explains why it says that there's a large amount of holders, but that's just the let's say the burn wallet, and also that there's going to be a lot more clarity with or as a whole. There's going to be funding for marketing. There's going to be funding for the team to get more miners, and that's good for or. It's also good for minemore, because minemore basically does what got me addicted to or, which was doing a whole bunch of different sub accounts at the same time and keeping them constantly running. Now we have that through minemore, which is the ideal thing for me, because I don't want to sit down looking at a laptop all day, checking that everything is running, checking that everything is working. And now we have Spuddy and Wild making sure that, okay, guys, there's going to be a server update in 5 minutes or in 10 minutes or after the next ML drops. We're going to do a quick server update and the miners will be off, but they'll be turned back on automatically. That reduces a lot of, let's say, stress. And besides that, it also makes it so that you can get a lot of people hooked onto mining, and it's a low cost, low risk, high reward, especially if you hit a nice ML like the one of 2 days ago. That was a fun little chase.
Did you land that chase?
I hit it with about 7 miners. So
You said you hit it with all 7 miners?
seven. I had 11 running, and then 3 ran out of
Wow.
juice just before, and then 2 of them, one is a 10 tile and one's a 13 tile, and both of them somehow missed it. But again, at the end of the day, having constant notifications, knowing when you hit a top miner, knowing when the mother load dropped, you have a very nice community that's constantly talking to each other, telling each other, okay, the ML chase is on, everyone's chasing it at the same time, and everyone's giving different ideas of how we can work together, let's say, and how we can
Yeah.
all improve uh, or as a whole, and mining the experience of it. And everyone always says, okay, guys, I want notifications for this. The next day, these 2 crack devs are working on making sure that it's released, and it can be just a simple request, or it can be even something more complex like CompoundDoor, and it just becomes better day by day.
I will say there are a lot of updates coming from minemore. I noticed them frequently coming through when I was playing. For example, I shared the screen of my laptop with my TV, and I kept seeing Big D somebody was messaging back and forth with Wild and and Spuddy over and over, and I were just constantly going back and forth on this announcements channel. I was like, "What is going on?" But I couldn't close my game, so I was hoping my family wasn't reading those notifications too closely. But yeah,
Yeah.
very active.
It's not only the thing is there's activity at both ends of the spectrum. Whenever there's a low ML, you have a bunch of people that come in, and those are the cheap hunters where they'll be deploying a lot of different miners at really low deploys, and they'll be hitting TMs like crazy. It's one of my favorite things to do. And then you have the people that like to chase whenever it gets higher, because there's a bigger payout. Even if you're doing a zero point 0.1 sol deploy across 25 tiles, you can still come out with 6 ore. So there's a very fine balance between how much ore you want to collect or how you want to collect it. You can put a lotto miner going for 10,000 rounds at 0.00001. And even if it hits one time, then you've broken even. And for me, those miners are the most fun to have, because you're like, they happen when you least expect them. So when you have a high deploy, you're like, okay, where's my top miner? I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. And then when you have really low deploys and it hits, you're like, oh, that's fun. Then you have a bunch
Yeah.
of people giving you fire emojis in the Discord.
Oh man, they're big. They're a busy bunch in there. Um, you know, I really I really like mine more. I really need to put my lottery miner to work for longer periods. I mean, in theory, 0.001 is pretty small, but I can make it 0.0001 soul and still get the same chance of hitting an ore. So I got to respec my lottery mining ideas and make it a little bit, stretch it out a little bit longer with more tiles. But yeah, that's true. Um, you know, minemore is great for all the tools it gives you. I do wish the front end had a little bit more tools like the P&L that minemore lets people see, so they know how profitable they are. The front end is more like, oh, I got an ore, you know, and that's great. But how do you see your P&L over time? You can't on the official front end. So not to take anything away from minemore, but I would like to see that as an option on the front end of the official mining page on or.fyi. But until that happens, of course, we have all these awesome tools in this ecosystem that are built and being built today. So I think Or has something for everybody for sure. There's your very basic, hey, let's get started mining on the front end, official front end. And then there's for more advanced stuff like minemore, which is perfect for people who are really watching their P&L.
What I haven't managed to understand with the main or front end is the no sol auto reclaim, or I haven't managed to figure it out. And as soon as I found mine more and the estimated rounds and having the sol auto reclaim and deployed instantly, that to me was like, okay, there's really no second best here. There's no competition, and there's no way anyone could come in and become competition. At the end of the day, they're not doing anything that is against or, but rather a more advanced version of what has already been given, and giving people different options and different strategies. So it's a crazy collaboration, let's say, more than it is a competition. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, both are mining for ore.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe it's would make things too complicated if you add those tools on the official front end. Maybe it does need to be more simple. Like hit one button and start mining after you deposit your soul. That might be the best way to go because normies need to access ore, right? And they need to have fun mining ore. But then once you get deeper in, tools like minemore are the perfect segue into deeper strategies, deeper functions, and smarter mining, I guess you could say.
Mhm. I agree,
Yes.
and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but Spuddy is even trying to develop games for the front end of Mine More.
Oh, that's going to be even more fun.
No,
I mean, just
uh,
what you know, if that's too much alpha, we're sorry, Spuddy. But you know, whatever comes out that hooks onto Or is going to be a net positive for the entire community, the entire project.
and I've been trying to give him suggestions, and we've been bouncing ideas back and forth, and uh, he wants to make it a sort of social interaction club where we can even have discussions through the Mindmore app or the web page, or so we can have a sort of common room where people can all chime in or talk in it, and we can have a constant back and forth while things are happening. While there will always be Discord, but the idea is to also make the app have a little community side to things. So that's a bit more alpha.
Yeah, community is important. You have to have fun in crypto. Otherwise, it feels like stonks. You don't want to be here trading stuffy old stonks. You want to have fun. And that's how I got involved with my last few projects. One of my refining criteria is is the Discord or Telegram fun? Do people enjoy being there? Do people enjoy coming back? And that's kind of, kind of what the protocol is. Meme coins are almost too much fun. They're like sugar coated candy, whereas something like Or, their strategy, there still can be sugar coated candy if you're just a lottery miner. There's lots of different people, lots of different ideas. Most importantly, because with a meme coin, you're not getting any ideas. It's the meme coin, and that's what it is, right? They might make a web page, they might make some games. I think one of the Doge derivatives had a Doom clone on their website, but that's nothing. Like that doesn't add any value to anything. It's just once the coin drops in value, everybody's going to abandon everything that was built. So unlike meme coins and their saccharine, their sweet, and their funny communities, those people evaporate very quickly unless there's some substance holding them together. Unless there's some deeper strategy, deeper vision, and brighter future ahead, people are going to pump and dump those coins forever. But with Or, there is strategy, there is a bigger vision, there is fairness, and there is a bright future ahead. And we know that things are moving to open Or up to so many more people. I think, be it minemore or some other front end, once they hit the App Store, be it Apple, be it Android, in some capacity, it's going to be over. Like it's going to be what the amount of Or you have is probably as big as bag as you're going to get before the normies get involved, right? Once those guys start hitting the different apps that are available, if they ever get to app, iPhone and Android, let's say official App Store products, I mean, that will open up so many doors for this project. And so many of us miners who've been here, mining from the early days and sticking through this darker, harder time of the bear, will be reaping the rewards. And I'm not going to sell all my bag. I want other people to, get involved in this product and keep it going for a long time. Because coming from a space where there's so much predatory action, I can't support those meme coins. I can't support Pump.Fun with my money. It's got to be something that I want crypto to become, and that's Or, and that's the community that's around Or, such as minemore, and all the other builders in this project. I salute you for rallying behind this product. Make crypto what you want it to become by buying and holding the coins that you want it to be. You want it to be. That's my philosophy.
I agree with you, and also the entire idea of today with meme coins is finding exit liquidity. There's no such thing as a meme coin that just keeps going up. There's no more 1 bill runners, 2 bill runners. That was just a time and place that we won't be seeing anytime soon. A lot of things need to change before that happens again. And even when it happens again, it will run to 1 billion and it will come crashing down.
And hurt a lot of people.
And hurt a lot of people in the way and get a lot of normies out of crypto instead of the inverse, which is what minemore is trying to do. Get normies into crypto, explain to them how it works, get them in early, and it's a long-term vision, and there's a limited amount of coins, and there will always only be 3 million coins, and there's only going to be one Or and one Chad and one Spuddy and one Wild. There's nothing more to it than that.
Yeah, I love Spuddy, I love Wild. I think the ecosystem as a whole is very, very kind on Or. There's a couple bad eggs, but the ecosystem has all been the ecosystem that came up around Or is what my last project I was working for would have loved, would have dreamed of having this many builders on top of it, but that never panned out. So what makes Or different, I think, is the authenticity of HAC. Right? He's here to build something in this space that is fair and that everybody can enjoy. As you can tell, fairness is a big deal to me, because we can't honestly say we want crypto to continue to be known for being just meme coins and other junk products that extract to these multiple individuals who work the space for their benefit. We don't want it to be that way. So we gotta mine. We gotta hit the mines. I'm not spending a single dollar on meme coins this time, not one.
The thing is that even when something great comes along, like let's say Punch or the Penguin, it becomes bundled, it becomes oversold as a dream. You have the White House tweeting about it, and then overnight it loses all of the momentum and it goes straight back down.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
has had that moment. But it's one of those things. It just keeps coming back and it goes down and it comes back and it goes down and it comes back. Sort of like Sol or ETH or BTC. It has its cycles. And that was the
yeah. I can't
entire
wait for the
point of
next
it.
candle.
Uh, Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're all waiting for ore to spike and break that trend line. Um, what do you think of the liquidity situation? I know that's been a big discussion in the ore main chat on Discord. Should there be a small percentage of the fees going to liquidity and going to the whole range over time? I think that would be a lot less obtrusive myself than what was previously done, where it kind of caused the first price collapse, the most recent price collapse, because people got scared of something new, something changing when HHC proposed his new liquidity model that used the bins and the steps and all that stuff. It's complicated. Liquidity is complicated. But I think wide range liquidity is something that possibly could benefit us in the long run. Should a portion of the fees go towards it? What do you think?
I think that the foundation would be able to step in and actually add some liquidity because, as Graham said last week, the OR Foundation does huge revenue for a protocol that is as early as it is and actually has utility. Having the foundation will increase that revenue even more. And once
True.
that revenue is increased, then liquidity will come next.
True,
People will
true. I mean, that is true.
today through minemore. Uh, this is something that's semi-public, but we're also testing the DLMM, so we can provide liquidity through minemore. So any minemore user can start providing liquidity, or for doesn't have to be for OR. Currently, we're testing Sol and USDC just to get the hang of it, and we will then be, I imagine, moving on to providing liquidity for OR, because yes, there's downsides, but there's also a huge upside to it as well.
Yeah, and I think making it simple, the guys at Mine More, if from somebody who's provided liquidity for a long time, give it a one shot button. Make it so that if you just have ore and a little bit of soul, make it auto swap and put it in the bins automatically. Make it as simple as possible for anybody wanting to provide liquidity, because liquidity is a market, right? It's a market with a range. If you fall out of the range, you're not making money. If you're in the range, you're making money. So when there's a massive price disruption, when we go up and down 10-20% a day, that makes so many people out of range, and people are kind of lazy. You have to get your crypto wallet out, you have to extract your pool, you have to put it back in a new bin, resend the transaction, so forth. Anything you could do to make it auto range, to rebalance itself, and to make it like a one shot add liquidity, and here's your APY you're currently going to get, that is the way to go, because I've used so many liquidity products over the years. The simpler, the better. And I'm confident mine more. They could probably do it. They could probably do it very well. So I'm excited to see what that turns out to be when it launches.
Have you tried CompoundDoor?
No, I haven't. That's the loan mechanism that y'all partnered with. I have not tried it. I wanted to a few weeks ago, but man, I've been so busy. I haven't busted out my ledgers to start throwing stuff around.
You
But
don't
yeah,
need
it looks neat.
you don't need to bust out any ledgers. You don't need to get too deep in it. You just need to see how we've managed to integrate an entire separate website into Mindmore and how it's working pretty much flawlessly, and how there's already a competition with a lot of fierce competitors trying to reach the lowest cost per ore. and there's some people trying to game the system. Some people are enjoying the system. Some people are trying to understand how to get the lowest cost per hour, and that also makes more discussion, which is great. But
Yeah,
if you have time, you should drop in and try. N- the next competition starts on the first. You have
okay, perfect.
to you have to lock a minimum of 10 or into the compound door vault, and then you just have to chase the lowest cost per ore. And I believe that for next month there's a three-step uh, way where you have the lowest cost, you have the over the average of 1,000 rounds, and the I'm forgetting what the third step was. And that competition for next month is going to be for 7 or for the winner, and it's going to be a sort of weighted average between the three different steps.
Nice. Yeah, I got to get involved in that. Man, I've been just slowly staking, and when I have a little bit of extra cash around, I throw it in some mining. But I have definitely fallen off a little bit with the activity just because the bear market, all that good stuff. You know how it goes. But yeah, I need to step up
Mhm.
my game because this bear market's not gonna last forever. I've got to accumulate a little harder, a little faster, a little stronger, maybe even, and get
Do you have
myself.
seeker? Do you have a seeker?
No, I don't. No, I bought the Ethereum phone. I'm still sad about that.
The seeker has pretty much gotten me hooked since the season one drop, and I've pretty much spent the past 2 months staking 2,000 seeker a day, just so that I can keep my activity up on the phone, using it, trying out new games, checking the App Store, and downloading anything new that comes up, so that we can try and figure out how to keep the activity going, how to get a larger seeker airdrop for season two. And that's been a fun little journey. And through the bear market, funnily enough, Seeker is one of the few coins that has been uh, flatlining. So as soon as things start heating up again, I imagine it's going to start sending it as well.
And then you can mine with it on minemore, the secret token. So
You
get
can
your
use
secret
it.
airdrop.
We can probably try and convince Zedge to make it collateral that we can use to mine with to get some sol as a loan, so that we can backed by Seeker, and then we can use that to auto compound and mine with.
Yeah, y'all guys got minemore has the Swiss Army knife of this space. They'll figure out it.
That's
They'll
the
figure out a way.
perfect explanation of mine more.
And it's got to be a Swiss Army knife, right? What are they? Why
Yeah.
are they so good at these things in Switzerland? You went to school there.
Mm.
Why are they so
Yep.
good at this stuff? You don't know a guy named Axel, do you? I know a guy that went to boarding school in Switzerland named Axel.
There's 100 axles that I know. It's a very
Oh my
common name,
god!
but you can send me a
No
DM,
way.
and you can send me a DM so we don't dox Axel.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. If you somehow know this dude, I will flip. I, I I gotta say, he's the only man I've ever slept next to, and this is all platonic. I slept next to him at Consensus because we got a hotel room together. He sleeps with his headphones, blaring music, wrapped up in cords, cables, with an MP3 player sitting off to the side, or no, his laptop in the bed with him, wrapped up in the cables, snoring. Like I can't even believe this man exists, but he does. So I'll DM you. We'll find out if this is the same Axel.
All right.
But yeah, the next thing I'd like to see from Mine More, from anybody, is visiting Consensus, visiting these large Solana meetups, anything like that. I think is fair game, right? If they could sponsor some really hard hat wearing friends of Or, friends of community, friends of Mine More, to go and evangelize at these events I think that's another avenue for this product to really speak to people, especially if you can show them how to mine right then and there on a tablet, for example. I think it's an instant hook. I did the same thing with perps, but perps are a lot more complex, right? You go up to people, and some people know about perps and they know how to trade. And you give them, hey, you know, trade $10 on the house. You know, go ahead, leverage it at 150x, whatever. It's still only a small portion of the crypto community knows what they're doing enough to see why this matters, why this is different than other perps, etc. But there's not anything quite like OR except the copycats, and we're just going to ignore those. But OR needs to penetrate these places too, be it through whatever teams are building on top of it, to show people firsthand at these conventions that this is easy to use, there's a vibrant community, and there's representation, and there's a pathway to get in touch with the team if you want to build on top of OR yourself. So I think that's where I'd love to see the next kind of the foundation might have to occur first, but I'd love to see penetration into the different conventions in Europe, in America, in Asia, and there's plenty. Or meetups, or hotel rooms, or minemore. Lottery days. There's so many things we can do that can bring the community together, have a lot of fun, and then continue to spread the word of OR in person. So I hope that's something that we can do one day, and I would look forward to it.
There's already discussion about a presence at Breakpoint this year.
Yeah, Breakpoint's in Dubai. Is that correct?
No, in London.
London. Okay, cool. Even better. Yeah, that would be an interesting meetup. I would love to see if I can get there, and especially if there's hard hats and high vis vests available. We wear those. We rep OR on the dance floor. I think can't get much better than that.
Yeah, I believe that there will be presents and there will be some special guests as well.
Nice.
It's in November.
Perfect. There's plenty of time to prepare.
Yes, I'm not sure if I will personally be making it, but I know a couple of the minemore guys and the couple of guys from the Discord will be attending for sure.
Nice. Well, I'm going to look forward to that. If there's more information, or if these guys have a little side discussion, I'd love to be involved. I love going to these conventions, so I'd be more than happy to meet up with the real people in real life, make some new friends, and spread the gospel of OR. So,
all right.
Absolutely. Well,
shall we wrap it up there?
I think so. It's been almost an hour. This has been Brian, the minemore team, and RHB. We've been talking about his experience with crypto and his experience with OR and minemore. So, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming out. And for all the future listeners, please come back every other Thursday, where we can talk with another guest and hear their story about how they got involved with crypto or news, etc., and any other alpha we can scrape away from the teams.
I tried to not give away too much.
Oh no, it's perfect. They're very tight-lipped, especially the OR primary team. They're very tight-lipped. I've tried. I've twisted Starship Funk's ankle so many times, but he's not spilling the beans. So it is what it is. When it hits, it's going to hit harder, right? Because there's no leaks. All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming, and y'all have a good afternoon and good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Ori Insiders, where we go beyond the charts and hear from the people building, mining, and sticking through every cycle. Hard hat back on, pickaxe up. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more signal from the mines. Until next time, take care and keep swinging.